Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. So right now we are in the beautiful city of Bangkok, Thailand. I have a very special guest here. Her name is Simi. She's an attorney, and we're going to be asking about the process from start to finish of moving to Thailand. So if you are an expat, you've come here before, you love this place, you want to move here, but you don't know all the ins and outs of it, today we're going to find out. So Simi, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you.
So do you want to just tell us a little bit about your business, your company, what you guys do and areas of focus?
Sure. So my name is Simi, as Matt's mentioned. I'm a licensed lawyer here in Thailand, and I've been practicing for about 12 years now. I founded Umpire Legal in 2016, where our focus is to cater to our clients who are looking to set up their businesses in Thailand and to provide all kinds of legal services and guidance when it comes to living and working here in Thailand.
So do you focus more on businesses or also people who just come here and they get a job?
We actually offer services to everyone that's looking for legal assistance. So if someone's looking to move here to set up a business, we can help them with the whole process. If someone's here on a job, we also have clients who are already working here who may be looking to do like contracts for different things, or they just need legal consultation. A lot of people who are already working here might need labor laws consultation, and then immigration and stuff as well. We do visas and work permits too.
Let's start with the business owner. We're going to start because I know a lot of people watching this are digital nomads, people who make their money online. So pretend that one of them has come here to Bangkok, they love the city, they think it would be nice to live here. What should they do to get the visas and all of that to be able to come and stay here? What's the first step?
Well, the thing is that now the Thai government has introduced a lot of options for people who are looking to come here, where they can get long-term visa solutions. There are elite visas, smart visas, LTR visas, but traditionally, it's the non-immigrant B business visa and the work permit that most people would come to live and work based off of that. And what we do is basically assist to register their businesses that would allow the companies that they register to support their visas and work permits.
So they should register a business here first?
That's right. So that would be the first step.
Yeah, and typically, like, how much would that cost?
If it's like a full package, which includes setting up the company with all the registrations and one visa and work permit for a foreigner, it would be about 100,000 baht.
Like
It's 30
I think
something.
a bit over
Yeah.
3,000 US dollars?
Yeah, something like that. But then again, it depends on which firm you're working with, because some people may charge you 3 times that amount as well.
So they've got the company set up. What's the time frame to get it set up?
The setting up of the business actually depends on what kind of activities you're going to be involved in, whether you're looking to apply for any kind of business license or a foreign business license or BOI, Board of Investment Promotion. If it's just a Thai limited company, it can be incorporated in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then maybe another 2 to 3 weeks to set up the bank account and do VAT, register with the revenue department and things like that.
Okay, so the bank account, tell me about that. So that's a business bank account and a personal account they would get?
So for personal bank accounts, the banks have their own regulations as well, where they usually don't allow foreigners who are holding tourist visas or short-term visas to open a bank account. So once the client or the foreigner is on a LTR or long-term visa, then they can open a bank account on a personal basis. But for the company, they can open a company's bank account as soon as the company is registered. But there may be some restrictions on the services.
Yeah.
Depends on the bank, depends on their requirements.
And that bank, multi-currency accounts, online banking, all of the normal stuff.
Everything is available, yeah.
Got it. So that's a couple of weeks after opening the business. And then what's the timing on actually being able to move here and find a place to live? Can they come right away?
So actually, that's what we recommend for clients to do, to move here. I mean, you can be on a tourist visa to begin with, where you come and explore, you set up the company, because the company will need to be ready before it can start to support your visa and work permit. So there's some formalities that need to be handled before you can actually officially move here. So for sure, one trip is important to just come and set things up, and then fly overseas, because you need to apply for the initial 90 days non-immigrant B visa from a Thai embassy abroad anyways. So you go back home, get sorted, and then come back here to get on the work permit and everything. And even relocation companies or like real estate, sometimes for getting on a lease agreement, you need to be on a long-term visa. So it's better to Just get everything sorted first and then move.
So if they come here first, meet with you or someone like you, set up the company, then you're saying go back home, they have to go to the Thai embassy.
Yeah, to apply for a non-B visa, non-immigrant B visa.
Non-immigrant B visa.
Which they will get for like 90 days, 3 months.
Okay.
And then they come back here and they can apply for an extension at the immigration office. We have an immigration team and we can assist with that.
And that extension, is it pretty much a guaranteed thing at that point?
It depends on the company. So that's where we come in, where we can guide the client on how to, there are certain requirements in order to get the visa extension. So for example, minimum number of Thai employees that are needed for each type of business. And they have to do the monthly submissions, where we also have an accounting team to handle that. So if they're able to follow all the requirements, then the visa extension process should be easy enough.
And how long is that extension usually? Is that like a year?
It's usually for 1 year.
1 year.
If you're not so lucky, you could get it for 6 months. Okay. Depends on the nationality of the individual. It depends on how far along the business has started to operate and things like that.
So once they have that extended for a year, then they can stay here legally. They don't have to fly in and out, no border runs, nothing like that.
That's right. So they just need to do the 90-day reporting with the immigration office every 3 months. Unless they travel, then they can skip the 90-day reporting. It's basically just to notify the immigration authorities that you're still around.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you fly out, automatically you go through the immigration system, right? So you don't need to do the reporting.
Now, you mentioned something about having Thai staff. How does that work? If you have this company set up, how many do you have to hire and what are they required?
Okay, that's a little bit of a challenge for most of our clients, because they need to have the company registered and the 4 Thai employees. If it's a Thai limited company, then they need to have 4 Thai employees registered for Social Security before the company can support each foreigner's visa and work permit. If it's a representative office, it would be 1 Thai employee. So it really depends on the structure that you set up for your business. If it's a board of investment company, for example, there's no need to have a Thai employee. If you're in the management position, you're one of the founders, you can get started with the visa work permit without a Thai employee. So it depends on the nature of your business that you've registered.
So there are ways to do it if you did not want to hire someone.
Yeah,
you could do it, but they encourage you to obviously hire more people.
That's right.
Fuel the economy a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what if someone's watching this and they think, okay, I don't want to come here for a business. I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't have a business. What's the other way that they can move here?
Well, there are other visas that are available. So if you're over the age of 50, you can get on a retirement visa. A lot of people actually just enroll in schools or Thai classes, and they can get on a student visa. Or if you have family here, if you're married to a Thai national, you can get on a spousal visa. If you have a child going to school here, the child can be on an education visa and you can get on a guardian visa.
Yeah.
But again, for each type of visa, there is a requirement in terms of funds that you need to maintain in your personal bank account in order to be able to support the application.
Let's focus on the retirement one for a bit. So over the age of 50, what specifically would they need to do?
So normally what they would need to do is apply for an initial visa from a Thai embassy in their home country, which is like the retirement visa. So they can come here and open a bank account, because the bank account must have a minimum of 800,000 baht.
800,000 baht.
Maintained in there.
Yep.
And they need to get insurance done, which is, based on the minimum coverage that is required.
Yep.
And you need to have a rental agreement for a long-term rent, residential.
So you get these things like open the bank account, get the residential agreement before you actually have the retirement visa?
So basically you get you get an initial visa from the Thai embassy overseas. So you come here and then you can lease a property, you can open a bank account.
Yep.
And once all of those formalities are met, then you can apply for the extension before the visa that you're holding initially expires.
That initial visa, what's that called that you would get in the embassies?
I think it's called a non-OA visa, non-immigrant OA visa.
Okay, that's like 30 days or 90 days?
So sometimes it's 90 days, sometimes it's for a whole year. But if it's a 1-year visa, there may be a condition associated with it which says you have to leave every 90 days. So before the 90 days is up and you don't want to leave, you can then apply for the extension. Which means as soon as you arrive in Thailand, you quickly get everything sorted in terms of your bank account and transferring of the funds in and things like that.
Do you find that for retirees who do want to come here, is it generally very easy to move to Thailand?
It's not complicated. It's actually one of the easier visas to get on. If you have the money that you can transfer into Thailand and you can maintain, the insurance that they need and things like that. And it's not complicated.
The insurance you mentioned, that's just like life insurance or what kind of?
It's health insurance.
Health insurance.
Yeah.
Does it have to be with an insurer here in Thailand or it can be overseas?
I think it can be overseas, but they have a list of insurance companies that you can use. So you'll need to just make sure that you meet those requirements.
That's interesting. Now, coming back to students, let's say someone's watching this, they're a student. You're talking about studying at a university here?
Not necessarily. It could be just a language school or, there's some that do Muay Thai and stuff like that as well.
Muay Thai?
Yeah.
So
I recently had an inquiry about that. Yeah.
Wow. How would that look? So if you come to a Muay Thai school here, start training, you could stay here for a year?
On a student visa. I'm not sure if it's 1 year. To be honest, Matt, I'm not super... we don't do too many education visas because the schools themselves will handle the application for their students.
Okay.
So we have, the education visas that we have are mainly from the international schools where the parents want to get on a guardian visa. So they ask us to do their kids' education visa and the parents' guardian visa at the same time.
Okay.
But back to what you were asking about Muay Thai, basically, there's the Ministry of Education. They have a kind of school which is called non-formal school, where it's not like high school or university, right? It's just like different types of learning where you can have language schools or sports.
Oh, so someone wanted to come and study and learn Thai.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So as long as those schools or teaching institutes are certified by the Ministry of Education, they can actually support visas for foreigners to be on the education visa. But then again, I think that they don't get it for long term. They may have to do it every 90 days or something like that. Depends on the course, depends on the duration of the course as well.
Yeah. Now, if someone does go down this path of getting the visa, becoming a resident, essentially, what about becoming a citizen, like getting a Thai passport? Is that hard to get? Is that unlikely? Or is there a path to getting that?
Well, if you want to go down that route, then you have to plan ahead. Because basically, it's not like if you want to do it now, you can just get started with the application. Normally, you'd have to meet certain requirements. You'd have to be living in Thailand for a certain number of years. You'd have to pick up the language. You have to learn to sing the national anthem and a few different things. And the application process itself also takes a number of years.
Yep.
So you'd have to plan well ahead.
Got it.
And you need to, if you're on a nomad kind of status where, sometimes you're on a tourist visa, sometimes you're on an education visa, then you can't really plan to apply for that. It would have to be someone who has been living here or maybe married to a Thai national or been working here for the last 10, 20 years. Then you can look at doing that.
Yeah. Coming back to the digital nomads, let's say that someone works completely online and they want to come spend time in Thailand. Is it possible that they can fly in and out and stay here as on a tourist visa? Is that possible to do?
Well, according to the Labor Department, the definition of work includes all kinds of work, which also, if you're flying in just to work, but basically not working for a Thai organization, but working on a laptop in your hotel or something. I mean, I guess if you're doing that, it may not be considered as officially working in Thailand, but it's a little bit tricky there. We do have a lot of clients who live in Thailand for over 180 days, and they do file their tax returns here if they receive income in Thailand.
Yep.
But there are also people who would just travel here for a few months in a year, just enjoy the summertime. And then all of their income is going into their overseas bank account. So they're not generating any income in Thailand, which means they're not liable to pay any personal income tax here. Because there's no money coming in.
And how long can they stay here on that tourist visa?
I mean, it depends on the type of visa that they get. So if it's just an on-arrival, you might get a 30 or 60-day stamp that you can extend for another 30 days.
Can you influence that, whether it's 60 days or 30 days? Or
it depends on your nationality. And it also depends on when you apply. So if you don't apply for a visa and come and you, for example, are an Australian citizen, you come to Thailand, you might get a 30-day visa that you can extend for another 30 days. But if you apply for a visa, you could get a 2-month tourist visa or a 6-month tourist visa. It depends on the embassy that you're applying at, whether they'll grant it or not.
Now, so someone's decided they want to move here. Now they want to get some property. As a foreigner, let's pretend that someone watching this, they're from Australia and they want to buy an apartment here in Bangkok. What's the process? Are there limitations on how much or the minimum? What's that look like?
So there's no minimum. You can actually buy condominium units because it's not landed properties. As a foreigner, you can invest in lots of different condo units as long as the building that you're buying the unit in maintains the 51-49 ratio, because there's a maximum of 49% that they can sell to foreigners.
Got it. So these big condos you see, 49% to foreigners, is it?
That's right. So they can only sell up to 49% of the units to foreigners. And so that's the reason that sometimes if the foreign quota has already been reached, then they cannot sell you the unit.
Yeah.
And for the process, basically, you would need to first identify the condo that you want to purchase. Then you can look at the contract that you're going to make with the seller or the developer directly. And you'll have to open a bank account again in Thailand, or you can transfer funds into any bank account here in Thailand. But ideally, it should be your own, just so that, basically you're secure, where you transfer money from overseas into your personal bank account in Thailand with the mention that the purpose of the transfer is to purchase this condo, this unit number and things like that. So it has to be very specific.
Why do they have to transfer money into a personal Thai bank account? Why can't they send from overseas directly to the lawyer's account?
They could do that if the lawyer gives an escrow.
Okay.
But we don't provide escrow services. So we always encourage, just for security, peace of mind for everyone. Basically, the client can just somehow, if it's someone who's already living here, then they can open a personal bank account and they can transfer money into their own bank account.
Just a typical personal bank account.
Yeah.
And it's safe. If they transfer, say, $500,000 US, it's okay.
Because it's their own bank account, right? Or they can choose to transfer directly to the seller or the developer, but if you have your own account, then why not? And then you can just withdraw the funds and go and make the payment on the date that is appointed for the transfer of the property at the land office. So basically, we can help with the contract. We can help to prepare all the paperwork, review everything that they need, because we'll need to ask the condo building as well for some documents like debt-free certificate to make sure that that unit has no debt at the time of making the transfer, and then the foreign quota certificate that I mentioned. And for the client themselves, the bank credit advice that needs to show the money that's come in. And then the client would then issue like a cashier's check of some sort to go and make the payment to the seller, which is like the final payment on the day that they register at the land office. They get the title deed and then they pay the cashier's check.
Now, when they do a transaction like this, the foreigner is going to pay the same as a Thai citizen would pay, or do they have to pay extra tax?
No, well, because you're buying it, you're not paying any extra tax on it. So when you buy the property, you can discuss with the seller who pays the transfer fees and the taxes. It can be half-half, or it can be just the buyer. It depends on what the arrangement is.
Yeah. And what typically are they, the transfer fee and taxes? How much?
So I think it's at 2%. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'll need to check.
I was talking to some real estate agents the other day, and I think they said 2%.
2%.
And it's normally split though between seller and buyer, so like 1% each, right?
Yes, but then there's also the tax aspect that's involved, because, for example, the seller who is selling has to pay, if it's an individual, they have to pay personal income tax on the income that they make, on the profit that they make from selling the property. So that is usually the seller's responsibility.
Yep.
And if the foreigner has bought it and wants to sell it within the next year or so, then the tax is a little bit higher, because the specific business tax will be charged if you sell the property soon after you bought it.
So besides that 2%, there's no other extra transaction fees involved? I mean, you'd obviously pay the lawyer their fee to do it, but that's it?
Well, there's some taxes that I mentioned. So it's the 2% transfer fee. It's not a flat rate, because sometimes it's calculated on the appraisal value, or it could be calculated based on the actual sale and purchase value, depending on what the buyer and seller agree on.
Got it.
Normally what we do is, before the date of the appointment where they do the transfer at the land office, we'll just drop by the land office and make sure that all the figures are calculated correctly, prepare everything in advance. And then on the day that the client has to go and do the transfer, we'll just let them know that, okay, this is how much to prepare in terms of cashier's check, or just bring some extra cash in case you need to cover that. Yeah.
And so the land office, is that the main government body that's involved in real estate transactions here?
That's right. So for each district, they'll have a land office that's responsible. So for the whole of Sukhumvit area, for example, they would normally go to the Prakanong land office.
So it sounds like it's a relatively easy process. I mean, if someone finds an apartment they want to buy and they've got the funds, the transaction could be done in weeks, right?
That's right. Yeah.
What I saw when I was looking at properties compared to, say, Singapore, here it looked like it's about a third the price. So it's much more affordable than many other cities in Southeast Asia.
I guess so.
Yeah. Most expats, I mean, most of your clients, where do they typically want to live in Bangkok? Which area?
Well, it really depends. A lot of people are on Sukhumvit, but then it tends to be a little bit more expensive.
Yep.
And there are a lot of now housing developments that are, not in downtown. So like people with families, they prefer to get to have a house in a gated community, which may be a 20-30 minute drive from central Bangkok.
Mm-hmm. Now, for someone who doesn't really know Bangkok very well, tell us about Sukhumvit. So what is Sukhumvit?
Well, it's just a long strip of road, which has a lot of hotels, a lot of office buildings, a lot of residences and department stores. And the main SkyTrain line runs through Sukhumvit. So, that's
where most of the action is in Bangkok.
Exactly, yeah. Most of the nice restaurants. But again, Bangkok has a lot of hidden gems. Yes. So if you venture off a little bit, you'll get to see different quirky little places, bars and stuff.
Yeah, I've been coming back and forth here for about 10 years. I've only ever stayed along Sukhumvit, but it's just it never sleeps. It's the traffic. You can go out at 1 a.m. and it's insanely busy, and it's a very bustling city. It really is. So, okay, so that's real estate. Let's talk about schooling, for example. So if someone's got a family, they want to move to Bangkok, what are the schools typically like here for kids?
Well, here there are a lot of international schools with different curriculums. So they have a lot of, starting from kindergartens, so nurseries, kindergartens, that take kids from 18 months onwards. And then obviously it goes all the way to high school. And the level of education, I would say, is quite competitive as well. And opportunities are a lot when it comes to going to universities. They counsel you well, and they help they help the students get into the good universities. So there are a lot of, school education is not an issue here. The only thing is it depends on where you're studying, that, the fees will be quite high depending on if you want to get the best for your child.
And for someone who's never been here, so the language here is obviously Thai. If someone doesn't speak Thai, can they get by on just English, would you say?
I would say yes. Yes. Because Bangkok is just, now, a lot of people speak English, and it's easy to get around. I feel like if I was a tourist here myself, I would probably love it, just because of the convenience of moving around and figuring things out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What initially brought you to Bangkok?
I was born here.
Oh, you were born here. Okay. So, you really know Bangkok.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So, schooling, banking. I want to just go back to banking for a little bit.
Sure.
Generally, would you say that the banking here is stable? Do you ever hear about banks going out of business, or is it generally...
Well, there are a few of the big banks, which I don't think have any issues.
Yep.
So I've not heard of any banks going out of business, at least not the big ones. So there's Bangkok Bank, Kasikorn, SCB, Krung Thai, Krung Si, the ones that are the big ones that are quite stable. And this is what we know, this is where we bank. And we haven't had any issues. Sometimes just technical issues with online banking or whatever, but apart from that, nothing much.
And if someone doesn't speak Thai and they come here, they set up a bank account, they need to go into the bank, can they get by? Is there always going to be someone who speaks English?
Not always, but it depends on which branch you go to.
Yeah.
So if you're in one of the very local areas, you might not find a bank officer who can communicate with you in English.
Yeah.
But if you go to ones in the central downtown Bangkok, you will always find someone who speaks English. And the good thing is that all of the internet banking, mobile banking services are offered in English as well.
And so you said before that they offer multi-currency accounts, so people can have, say, US dollars or Australian dollars, no problem.
I actually don't know if they offer multi-currency accounts for personal bank accounts. I don't know that because we do multi-currency accounts for companies.
Yeah.
So once a client has registered a company, if they want to open a multi-currency account, we can prepare all the paperwork, the board meeting minutes, and their company documents and fill out the forms that they will need to take to the bank to open those accounts.
Yeah.
And usually there's internet banking that's offered with all kinds of accounts. So you can manage everything online, even if you don't live here throughout the year.
Now, I just got back from Singapore, and in Singapore, if you want to buy a car, you have to pay an enormous tax. It's very expensive. What's it like here in Bangkok? If a foreigner wants to get a car, do they charge you a lot of extra tax for a car?
I don't actually think there's a lot of extra charges if it's a foreigner buying a car. You just need to get your paperwork in order. So basically, you need to get the tax residence certificate and like whatever documents you have for your visa stay here. And then basically you can do the transfer, you can do the purchase.
If someone was living in this area where we are, so Sukhumvit, do you think they need a car to get around or the public transport seems pretty good, right?
The public transport is super convenient, but I mean, if you have a family, you have kids, you need to drive around a bit to take them to school and stuff. So yeah, it depends on what your needs are.
So living in Bangkok, overall, it's incredible. It's an incredible city. I actually have thought about moving here myself. One thing that sometimes foreigners come into, they see is the pollution overall. Like if you're walking up and down Sukhumvit, it's not like really noticeable, but you can notice it a little bit. What's it like here in terms of pollution?
Well, it's quite bad sometimes, and I have trouble breathing sometimes, but it's not, I mean, I guess we're just used to it, and we have filters at home, and sometimes when we check the PM and it says that it's in the red marks, then we just we try not to go outdoors too much. Yeah.
Do they do like in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, sometimes they're doing burning in a nearby place and there's a lot of smoke that comes in for a few weeks of the year. Do they have anything like that here?
I think they do, but it's not in Bangkok. Yeah, they don't do that in Bangkok.
So you don't really notice it after a while.
Yeah, but sometimes you can actually, like, you can't see the buildings that are a little bit far out.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, this city, like when I'm looking out of my hotel window, I just see constant construction. There's a lot of residential developments going up, and these are world class. Some of them that I saw yesterday, they're incredible. And the price to value ratio, it's also very good. Do you see that the general residential real estate market, like do you think they're building too much, or are there that many foreigners coming in that it's sustainable? What do you think?
There's always demand for it because I feel like there are just constantly people moving in here. But for some reason, personally, I feel that the older buildings tend to be more spacious and better value for money because you get more space. Even though they're in the city, but because the building's a little bit older, you get more space. And you can renovate the interior yourself if you're buying the unit. Yeah.
As a foreigner, if they wanted to come here and renovate their own property, you would have a lot of good builders around, I imagine, for a city this size.
Yeah. I mean, it's always, so this is something that people always complain about when they deal with contractors here in Thailand. They're always changing or having issues and, they're running off and not finishing up their work and stuff. This is something that people find challenging quite often, but then you just get, if you pay for a good contractor or, you follow up, then they get the job done.
Now, I heard about something called Elite Visa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the Elite Visa, just in broad terms, what exactly is that?
It's a visa that you can get on if you're looking to just live in Thailand comfortably without having to worry about, different types of extensions that you would need to do or, different requirements that you would need to meet. So it's mainly for wealthy people or people who can afford to just pay to come and live here, and they can get to stay here for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years and bring their family members to live here as well.
Do you know roughly what's it cost?
I am not entirely sure. I know that recently they upped the prices. So, but I'm closely associated with an Elite Visa agent, so I can refer people to them.
Okay. All right. So let's say that someone is, they're watching this and they're sold on the idea of moving to Thailand, and they want to hire you to help you with the entire process. What kind of services specifically do you offer?
Okay, well, through Umpire Legal, we can assist clients to register their companies here, get on visas, work permits to be able to live and work here, and buy condo units, or just advise on the legal aspects of living here in general or doing different types of businesses. That's what we would normally do.
Okay, so everything from getting the visa, setting up bank account, property as well?
Property as well, that's right.
Yeah, where to live, connecting them to different real estate agents.
Yeah, we have a lot of business network that we are involved in, so we can guide the client to basically refer them to different service providers, depending on what their requirements are, whether it's for a real estate agency, whether it's for different just basic services or schools and stuff like that.
Okay, now if someone wants to get in touch with you, how do they best reach you? What's your website?
It's worldwideweb.umpirelegal.com.
Umpire Legal, spelled umpire normal.
With a U, so UMPIRE. Yeah.
Okay, so umpirelegal.com. And can they get a consult with you to explain their situation? They just go to the website?
Yes, so on our website page, there's a contact button. If you click on the contact button, it will allow you to enter your details, your contact details, and whatever your requirements are, you can send that over. And we can schedule a free consultation for up to 30 minutes to begin with, to better understand what your requirements are and to guide you at the initial stage. And after that, we can offer you our service proposal and we can take it from there.
Sounds good. So guys, take advantage of that. It doesn't hurt to find out more about moving here, get that 30-minute consult. So umpirelegal.com.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Simi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me.
You're welcome. And guys, hope you got some great value out of that. And we will see you in the next episode.